let's do a little bit of history on this gun stuff. We got those Democrats trying to play the innocents like they've been doing for 30 years on guns. They have a tendency to overlook a lot of decades of history. All right, to begin with, in the early 1900s, they're the ones that started the KKK. They're involved in Jim Crow with the lynchings, the cross burnings, the bomb explosions and things in the South. And they killed quite a few of the blacks. And they must forget about that. And bombs are not guns. And they killed a lot of people with bombs and things. All right, and then we kind of head on into the early 60s, and they're the ones in the late 50s, early 60s were fighting a lot of the things to allow freedom. And then they kind of got involved, and this was the Democrats, it was the LBJ and the Democrats that got involved in that Vietnam War, which they probably forget about. And LBJ in '65 started pumping the numbers up pretty high, and we end up with 50,000 teenagers killed. It's a total of about 60,000 of everybody. And they were forced to go. Most of them were forced to go. They had the draft ended, but they realized it doesn't work. Stopped it. All right, and now they have a few later on, and you have a few school shootings. They don't do anything to secure the schools. All they do is complain about the NRA and try to talk about banning guns from all working, voting, tax-paying Americans. And they did that for decades and decades. Anytime there's a school shooting, they start squealing like a pig about the NRA and guns, and blah, blah, and they don't do a damn thing about securing the schools. If they secured the schools, nobody would be getting killed in the schools. And it's been that way ever since. And as far as a little bit of the military history, you can't trust them one bit, because you had the Bay of Pigs fiasco where they left them standing without the support, and a lot of them got killed and the thing fell. Vietnam was the same way. They wouldn't put in enough power at any time. The tactics were bad. The thinking was bad. The tactics and were terrible, and they just were more pretending like they had in some way. It went on for years and years, getting people killed for no reason, because they're not facing reality. Same way with the schools, you got to face the reality. Benghazi, it's a democratic tactic. Let them shoot them in the back, leave them there. Don't worry about it. Don't support them. Put them in a place where they shouldn't be to begin with. A lot of these, a lot of their strategy and tactics is just insane, but they don't really care. Just like the schools, do they really care if students get shot? They might, but if they did, why not secure the schools? You have 30, 40 years to do it. You haven't done it yet. Trump is the first president that's talking about it. Obama was in office 8 years. What did he secure? Well, he secured some money with the uranium that went to the Russians. He probably secured, a lot of money here and there, because he's worth a hell of a lot more than he was when he first became president. What about Bush and them? Did they secure the schools? No. Reagan, did he secure the schools? No. None of them did. They didn't want to face the issue. You just had the left squealing about guns, gun control, and that's not going to happen. The patriots in America, the ones that pay the taxes, have seen this past 8 years of America almost becoming a police state So I really doubt they're in a mood to be turning in any guns to anybody, especially some libtarded rejects that don't know what the hell they're doing anyhow. The thing to do is secure the schools, which the dams have not done. And the reason I'm bringing this up, it just irritates me that they like to play this game like they're so innocent, and they're the nice guys, and they wish all this wouldn't happen. If they really didn't want it to happen, it could have stopped 40 years ago, 30 years ago, 20 years ago, 10 years ago. They don't worry about killing anybody. They've been killing everybody since the turn of the century. Like I say, Jim Crow, the KKK, Vietnam War went on for 15 years. They didn't care about that. Benghazi, the wide open schools, they're the ones that always stop it. You know, you can't have guards in school. You can't do this. It has to be a no gun zone. Yeah, that's about the dumbest thing in the world. Now you got these live fire targets just sitting there all crammed in together without any way of defending themselves. So it was a setup from the word go, and all they wanted was a political issue every time a school shooting happened, and they didn't care about really securing the school for the students who would get killed. Like I said, each president had about 8 years. Jimmy Carter, 4 years. They could have secured the schools. Any of those presidents could have done it. Trump is the first one that's actually trying to do something about it. And he's getting flack from the left and the right both. And then you got these libtard idiots out there that squeal like pigs trying to somehow blame it on him. Like, I'm not sure how he did it or anything. Oh, I know. You had some ugly old movie star or something saying that, well, he stirred up this hate in America. He didn't stir up the hate. That was Hillary and her bunch of whores and from Hollywood and all those idiot Democrats, because they had their police state stopped by Trump, and they were mad as can be. They were making up lies and left and right, and they still are. If you don't believe it, just go back and look at a lot of the videos of the news and stuff that went on for the last year, nothing but lies, stories, craziness, and as if the people that voted for Trump, their votes don't count, and they're always making up an issue of why Hillary didn't win, like it's not the Russians, it's voting machines that were rigged. Face the facts, you idiots. Your policies stink. Hillary's the big crook, and the probably killer, and the voters know it. So they cheat more about votes than anybody else. They have these illegals voting, and I saw one on TV on one of those propaganda stations like CNN or something bragging about it, and she said she voted 5 times, and this is in Texas. I don't know if it's true or not, but you had more Democrats voting illegally probably than anybody else. And if Hillary will try to throw the election for a primary, why in the hell won't she do it for the general election? I know she will. And it's all surfacing now, but you entitled voters, well, I guess you're more like entitled slaves for the Democrats. You just do what they say every time, vote for them no matter how stupid it is, and you just keep doing it, and you've done it for years, and if you look at your situation in the inner cities, it's probably not that good, but that's because you just keep supporting these crowds over and over, as if you can't go out and function in life, and I know damn well you can, because I've seen plenty do it. Alright, I'm not here, but I'm just tired of this crime and acting sanctimonious and innocent when they're the worst killers in any other party in the history. Alright, out of here.